It is 4:47 in the morning on September 15, 2008. You are already at your desk. The city is dark outside the 38th floor window. The Hudson sits flat and gray in the distance. Nobody told you to come in this early. You just never left. Your Bloomberg terminal has been open for 6 hours. The headline at the top of the screen reads, Lehman Brothers Files, Chapter 11, $613 billion in debt. Largest bankruptcy in United States history. You read it again. Then you set your coffee down very carefully. You do not pick it up for 3 hours. You have been running this fund for 11 years. You started with $400 million from 7 investors who believed in you based on a 40-page document and a 2-hour presentation in a conference room on Park Avenue. You are now managing $52 billion across 4 strategies. You have 230 employees, offices in New York, London, and Hong Kong. Last year, you made your investors 22%. One of them sent you a case of Chateau Petrus for Christmas. 18 months ago, you started buying credit default swaps against mortgage-backed securities. Your investors thought you had finally broken. A credit default swap is insurance on a bond. If the bond fails, the swap pays out. You were not buying insurance on bonds you owned. You were buying insurance on bonds you had never touched, betting they would collapse. It cost you $1.1 billion in premium payments over 14 months. Every month, the money left the fund and nothing came back. 2 of your largest investors sent letters threatening to pull their capital. You called them back personally. You told them you had never been more certain of anything in your career. You read every prospectus, all of them. 400 pages of loan-level data sitting in manila folders that nobody else in this industry had bothered to open. Inside those folders, you found loans made to people with no income, no assets, no documentation, at adjustable rates that would reset within 24 months. You found that 30% of the loans in certain pools were already delinquent. You found that the ratings agencies had given these pools AAA status anyway. AAA, the same rating as United States Treasury bonds. You bought the credit default swaps. You held them through 14 months of nothing. You held them when your head of investor relations told you 3 clients were ready to walk. You held them when your wife asked, very quietly, if you were sure. You were sure. By the time Lehman files, your fund is up 38% for the year, while the S&P 500 has lost nearly 20% of its value. Your fund has made money on every single down day for 9 straight months. The trade is working exactly the way you designed it. You modeled this collapse in stress tests starting in 2006. You knew the mechanism. You knew the timeline. You were precise about everything, except this part. This part, the part where it actually happens, you did not model precisely enough. Your head of risk walks in at 5:15. He doesn't knock. He puts a single sheet of paper on your desk. The VIX, the market's fear gauge, closed last night at 31.7. You look at him. He looks at you. The VIX was at 17 in January. A VIX of 31 means professional investors are buying protection at any price. It means the people whose job it is to understand risk no longer understand risk. You built this fund to function when they stopped understanding. The market opens at 9:30. By 10:15, your fund has made $280 million. Your trading desk is quiet, not calm quiet. The kind of quiet that settles over people watching something they have no frame of reference for. On the screens in front of them, every major financial institution is in freefall. Morgan Stanley down 15%, Goldman Sachs down 12%. Goldman Sachs. Your head trader looks at you across the floor. You nod once. He turns back to his screens. Then, your prime broker calls. Your prime broker is the bank that holds your assets, lends you capital, and executes your largest positions. You have worked with this man for 9 years. You have had dinner with him 14 times. Today, his voice is different. Not afraid. Past afraid. We need to discuss your counterparty exposure, he says. Your counterparties are the institutions on the other side of your credit default swaps. When the swaps pay out, they pay out to you, but only if the counterparty can honor the contract. 3 of your largest counterparties are now in acute distress. 1 is down 44% in 5 days. If they fail before your swaps settle, you collect nothing. You have $4.3 billion in notional exposure to institutions that may not exist by the end of the week. You hang up. You walk to the window. You look at the city. This is the part they don't put in the model. The next morning, AIG announces it needs an emergency rescue from the Federal Reserve. $85 billion. AIG is the largest insurance company in the world. AIG insured the mortgage-backed securities, which means AIG is now the mortgage-backed securities. Every institution that bought protection from AIG is about to discover the protection was itself built on nothing. Your phone rings 11 times between noon and 3 p.m. 3 of the calls are investors asking to redeem their capital. They want out. Today. You transfer the calls to your COO. He explains the gate. You suspended redemptions 8 days ago. It is written into the fund documents. It is completely legal. They did not read the fund documents. They are getting nothing until the positions settle. By 4 p.m., your fund is up $620 million on the day. You call your wife at 4:09. She asks how you are. You say you're fine. She asks what fine means today. You don't have an answer. She tells you there's dinner in the oven. You tell her you won't be home. You are not home for 9 days. On September 29th, Congress votes down the $700 billion emergency bailout package. The House votes no, 228 to 205. The Dow Jones dropped 777 points in a single session, the largest single-day point drop in the history of the index. Markets around the world follow. Your fund makes $340 million that afternoon. Your head of risk brings you the P&L at 5 p.m. and sets it on your desk without speaking. The Senate passes the bill 2 days later. The House passes it October 3rd. It doesn't matter. The market drops anyway. The mechanism is already running. You cannot pass a law to stop a mechanism already running. By late October, the VIX hits 80. 80. It has never been above 40 in the history of the index. Your risk models cannot process it. You turn the risk models off. You have been right on instinct before. You are right again. Your fund closes the year up 49%. You made your investors $18 billion on a collapsing world. Your performance fee is 20%. You personally earned $340 million in a single calendar year. It is December 31st, 2008. You are the last person on the floor. You sit at your desk and you look at the terminal and you look at the window and you sit there for a long time. This year, 2.3 million American households received foreclosure notices. The unemployment rate has reached 7.3% and is still climbing. Retirement accounts were cut in half. Families in cities you have never visited lost everything they built over 30 years in 6 months. You saw it coming. You told anyone who would listen. Nobody listened, so you built a machine that made money when they didn't. The machine worked. You turn off the terminal, you put on your coat, you take the elevator down 38 floors, and you walk out into the empty December street. The city is quiet in a way you have never heard it before. You stand there in the cold for a moment. You were right about everything. That's the part that keeps you up at night.